So at this stage, I've just been holding it on with some tape. So I'll just move some of that tape off of there. I'll leave the bottom one on. There's no point moving that, that's going to hold it for me. So I'm just going to again get some purified linseed oil, or refined linseed oil, whichever. They're both the same thing, just a different way of naming it. And with that, I'm just going to use a clean brush. I'm going to apply some to the canvas, just down in here, and then use some colour basically with the linseed oil to there we go. I'll just use this. I'll mix some colour onto the canvas where the linseed oil is, up in here. Don't need a lot, so I'm just going to smear it in there the best I can. Don't need a lot, like I say, just a little bit, just like I did for the sky, because it was dry. I went over it with a tiny bit of linseed oil. Same thing I'm doing here. Now that'll be enough to do the whole lot. And I'm just going to scrub it into the dark area for now, so that's nice and slick and wet basically. And we can apply the paint there and move the paint and play with it. For these rocks, and just down in here is going to be some grass, a grassy area coming down off a cliff. I'm going to paint that tree, the trunk, a little bit brown at some stage, but I'm just going to leave it for now. It's fine, there's no big rush to do that, no big rush at all. So with that, I'm just going to use that same brush actually. We're going to paint some rocks in, just using a little bit of lamp black to the blues that we've been using already, which is the crimson and the phthalo blue mixed together. Put a tiny bit of black to that colour on the brush, but more of the blue and crimson than the black. Very small amount of black, you don't need a lot, just to darken it off a tiny bit in there. Try that for now. Now we've got one up in here. I'm just going to pin the corner of the brush, pull that down and over there. So that's the first part of the rock. There's a few little bumps and stuff in it as well. Get a bit more paint on the brush. Right, and then just in here, it actually comes down a slow gradient. So I'm just going to use the tip of the brush to pull it down to that point. The corner of this brush doesn't seem to be working for me very well, just at the moment. But if you persist with it, usually it will start to work for you. Because the brush, the hairs on the edge will automatically start to stick together and stop splitting. See, like the ones there are splitting, that's not a good thing, but the ones at the top are still pretty good. So I'm happy with that. Happy that I can just use that there to finish that boulder. Now, just underneath this one there's a few little ones, little bumps and stuff going on in there, little boulders. I'm not painting a lot of colour here because I'm going to highlight over top of this, obviously, with the limestone colours, but there's like a bluey tinge to it and it's nice, so I'm not going to change it. I'm going to leave that bluey tinge there in the rocks, in the colour of the rocks. There we go. Now this boulder here, just mix myself a bit more colour. the crimson, the blues, and the tiny smidgen of the black. So no point trying to paint without colour on your brush. Right, with that, this boulder here is slowly starts to work its way down, and then you have a big drop at an angle there. Paint behind that now. Just blend behind it with that lavender. More crimson to that bit. There we go. Now it does come down pretty steep, but then there's an area here where it bobbles off and comes down again. Just there. So now you're getting a nice definition here for all of this on the edge. A bulb just there, another one just there. So you don't have to do them straight away, you can go back afterwards and do the little things. So now we've got another little drop on that, so this there, just like that. And then this part here, I'm just gonna put another boulder in. It's about there. This is a bit more rounder type of a boulder, is that? So I'll paint that a bit rounder, like so. Even a bit more round than that there. And then another. Sits up in that area there. There's some nice detail for these edge ones, and then it simply goes down. Then it's a really nice one that goes down. There's a little bobble on it just about there, and it goes up again. Reload your brush so that it stays nice and dark. That contrast against that light is still going to be there. We'll highlight slightly lower than the top, so that darkness will still remain in there. It's just what we want. Paint behind that with the dark. I'm just going to pick up a bit of that green from underneath, and then this one here that comes down at an angle. A little peek off to it, and then it bubbles right down to there, right down to the bottom of there, like that. Get some of that colour, paint it up behind, and basically it just runs off down there like so, and we'll leave it at that for now. So that's the very top edge done. I painted it in nice and sharp. I'll get a bit more paint, just redefine this edge a bit. There we go. Now we'll let that dry just a tiny bit, and I'll get straight back to you guys. When I say let it dry, it's not going to dry, it's going to stay wet actually, but what I'm going to do, in fact I'll do that now while it's still on. I'm going to use a tiny little bit of Van Dyke brown. Just the smallest amount of Van Dyke brown. It's quite a firm colour usually, Van Dyke brown. It's not runny. So in that way it grips the paint very well that you're going to highlight with. So it always helps to have some of this Van Dyke brown in for these rocks. Even though I want it to have the bluey tones here and there, I'm just going to add a bit of that brown to it. So I'll have both the blues and the browns in there. And you can see where you want your rocks and cliff on the cliff face there. So this colour is just going to be underneath slightly, because they're more or less in silhouette at the top part. And then we've got a cliff coming down into there, so again, just not everywhere, but here and there, put some of that colour in there. Bit of Van Dyke brown. Same on that one. And just down in there a bit. You know, we're going to have some grass down in there, so I'm not going to touch that. That's going to want a bit of sap green and black putting on it, that's all. So then bits of Van Dyke brown now, when I come over the top of that and highlight, that will really stand out nice. There'll be a bit of brown or a bit of blues in there. Right, so just down here with the palette knife, I'm just going to apply a little bit of this colour. This is a mixture of white, light blue, and a tiny bit of Van Dyke brown in there too. And I'm just applying little amounts here and there underneath where the rocks are going to be. Same in there, I want to indicate a few. And they get darker towards the base. So here and there you can just put little strips of stuff, and the more you use this, the more it'll mix with the colour that you've put on underneath, and it'll start working better for you. It's going to be harder for me to do it down here, so I'm just going to work up here. I've applied a bit up there, and I'm just basically pulling it down with the knife, allowing that colour to mix with the base coat of Van Dyke brown and stuff that we've got in there. And just give some highlights and some indication the rocks are in there. Lots and lots of different boulders and stuff that's going on in this part. I don't want it too light though, so I'm going to come back anyway with some darks afterwards. Just want to get some colour in there basically for this. So just in there, I'm going to stick some colour first of all. And you can just play with that colour then and highlight certain tops of that. What you've got on your knife, drag it through, pull it down. You can play with it in all sorts of ways and just pull it about. But don't forget that I'm going to use some dark in between this as well. So it's not going to be as bright as it is at the moment, or as light. It's going to have more dark areas in between. Maybe just in there. And just touch it like that. That's it. So nice, bold. Get some colour on there. Some proper rock face down here, where I'm going to put some grass through basically. Just above this area where I'm highlighting this rock. There. This rock's coming down through here, and there's quite a lot of colour. I want some browns in there too. Some more of the blue. It's actually whittles itself out when it gets down to this area, so leave a few more darks. And then leave bigger gaps in between the lower down you come, because that'll show more dark too. I'm just using the flat of the knife basically there with that. Little part of the knife, but the flat of it, flat on the canvas. There. And it's been very, very liberal down in there. You can scrape the paint off the canvas and actually just to allow it to go towards the darks as well, like that. There. That's something similar to what I was after. And then just in here, we've got a big boulder which I'm going to put in. Some lights for that. angle is quite important for that bit there. There. Scrape it off, leave some darks underneath that. And then it peters off, comes along here, and then goes down. So from there I'll just do it from this side to that. There. Put it back to front, seeing as I can't get the knife in. That's just indicating bits and bobs of rock in there. You can see. That's nice. I want to be quite loose with this. So now you can go into the dark areas and pull straight down. You know at the top where you've got the dark, you can literally pull straight down from the top as well, and it'll drag just a tiny bit of colour up into there. See? Don't want it just dark. Here and there, just touch up into that area. There. And then leave these other darks. Don't do that there. Don't do it everywhere. Leave some darks in some areas. But other areas you can put less in. I mean, just in here where this tree is, I want a shadow behind it. So that wants to be good and dark. So I'll just put some dark just in there for that. So it stands out nice. There we go. That's a good start. So all I'm going to do is highlight these the exact same way that I've been doing this upper part here. I'll do exactly the same thing. I'll just pull down some of that colour, just a little bit. I have to reposition this. I'm really struggling with this little easel. But I have actually built for you all a new area in my kitchen where I can paint. So next painting that I do will be from there, and make my life a whole lot easier painting for you all there. Hopefully the lighting's going to be better and everything, so look forward to that. It's gone a bit bright there, so you can start working in some darks underneath if you like with the knife. See that, just pull it in. Pull some of them darks in to that, and lavenders and stuff that you've got. Just into there. That's it. And then that should drag out nicely. You can blend under there with your fingers if you like. That's cool. Right, we're going to leave it at that just for this minute. Come back to you soon. Right, now where I've put these rocks, I'm going to use the knife in the opposite fashion. I'm going to use Van Dyke Brown, all the good dark blues that I've used, and the lavenders, crimson, stick it all together to make a really nice dark colour up in there. Very good and dark. Put it on the knife. You put some on the small part of the knife too, so that you can use that. So just up in here I'm going to graze very gently over this and just let it pick up this dark colour on the high points where it wants to take it. So I'm just using the flat of the knife there, and it'll pick it up just enough that it darkens it just that little bit, just enough for it to sit down and work well in there. And it gives you some nice dark shadows too for your rocks. There, that's nice. And then even down in here I want to do the same thing but with the flat of the knife. Very gentle, one hair and some hair. Just a tiny graze. It's more or less flat on the canvas when I'm doing this. See that? And I'll just pick it up enough and make it look detailed, but not too much. And you've not really done much. It's so easy to do. I'm going to struggle to do this rock with that technique. So simply because of the way it's set up here. If If it was on my other easel I'd probably be fine, but I can't get the angle properly. So what I'll do is I'll try and get it out on the end of my knife. See if I can do it that way. Put it out on the end of my knife. And then it's a bit harder for me, like, but I'll try and do it that way. And then just graze over the surface of that. That's it. Love it. And it'll just pick it up. That's going to be hard. Just took a wodge of colour off there. Much more than I wanted. But that's what happens now and again. It's easy enough to wipe off the knife. Go back into some fresh colour. And you can just even just take the colour off the knife and just blend that back with the lighter tones that's in there. Something like that. So that makes it look a bit more natural. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the fan brush. Just the fan brush. I'm going to remove this tape from here. Because we've got some areas of grass just in these areas here. Just going to pull a bit of that darker colour that I put up in there down into the bottom corner. So it's all got some paint on it. And my finger off. And then back into, because it's got blue on it already, straight into cadmium yellow. Really nice green now. Don't want to be too bright. Put a tiny bit of yellow ochre into that too. Yeah. Now let's see how this works. I'm just going to tap the brush into the paint. Tap the fan brush into the paint like so. I've loaded it both sides and then tapped into it slightly. Now just up in here, in fact I could do with using some dark colour for this first. I'm just going to block in an area where there's a bit of grass just back in there. Right little bit of grass just on top of that rock. I just wanted to paint in. I need dark for that. That's good. So I'll just paint over that dark now in here. Some of this green. And highlight that bit of grass in there. It's very muted though. It's not real, you know, strong. And it's going to mix with that colour that you've got on the brush. So I tap and get a ridge just for the top part so it stands out. Tap and get another ridge. So on your ridge you get lots of paint on them little ridges you put on your brush. Shows you many a time that I use them. That looks good, and a bit of it actually goes up into there as well. So we'll do that. Little areas where you could put some. Now with that same green I want to have more open bristles this time. So I'm going to paint some behind here where it starts. Just there. And then leave dark shadows underneath. And then for this rock I'm going to get some fresh green. Brighter than the other ones, just so that it's in front. And it looks like it's going in front. I'm just going to indicate in there some grass coming down at that angle. Because this colour underneath, it'll mix with it my tap, or it'll mix with the dark colour underneath. And that's exactly what we want. And sorts of effects, because you get variations in your greens, not all identical. The different shapes and stuff. And when you start to run out of paint like I am now, it's a good time to go into these shadowed areas and just start sticking some bits of grass back there. So we've got some grass growing in there too. That's it. Gentle tapping with the brush for that. turning out good. Now I'm going to start touching it like so, just lifting upwards with the brush. It gives you a slightly different effect. Leave a few shadowed areas and stuff in there where you just tap some dark in gently like I have there. Tapped in the dark area, and then you get some bright colour, bright green, and you just come in front here by just touching up like that. Little ferns and stuff in foreground, you know. That bit behind there again, very gently. Under that rock, let it mix with that colour so it goes quite dark. And when it darkens off like that, you see, it allows you to come in front of it with a brighter green. Just like I can here. I can tap that back a bit now. Happy. There, a few little brighter areas just there. Just getting a bit closer. Again, tap it right down into dark, right into there. Tap behind that, some shadowed green dark there on the corner. That's coming good. Very happy how that's turning out. But I don't want it too detailed, this grassy area, just enough. And there's a bit of it just going down in there too. An angle. You get that, it'll grow up just up the edges as well. See it all the time. Even up on these rocks you'll see it just growing on the rocks themselves. Just into those shadowed areas, it's just nice to stick a few bits of that green in there too. Just going to get a bit of dark. Just spotted some in these a dark edge just there for where that grass starts. There. That's nice. And then them rock cliff faces, they're just scooting down in there. Now I just want to separate a little bit more, put some dark in that rock face. A bit more black with that. Just to split them rocks up a bit of dark. There. Same in there, I think I need a little bit of something. A little dark going on. Happy? Right, so all I'm doing, I'm just using the fan brush. You can use a fill bit if you like, if you find it easier. And I've got the browns and some of the lights on there. You see these little individual rocks that I've been putting in? Just using the corner, just like so. Just using the corner of that brush to indicate some little individual rocks that you've got just in there. Some sitting in the grass. And some of them you want to just go up in here and indicate a few rocks that are in front of other rocks. For instance, like in there, go down and indicate that that rock's in front of these. And it gives you more depth and stuff in your work. This one here, I'm going to have it come in down from there. I'll go across and let it come through slightly, just like that. And because it's picked up a bit of that colour from underneath, see, it's picked up a bit of that colour, go back into it, and I'll just darken it off a tiny bit, but there, that's nice. Put a shadow underneath, leave some of these in total dark behind, you don't need to all be lit up. Even up in here, I'll put a few indications of this highlight colour on the top of some of these rocks, just in there. Just touch a few little boulders in. If you get any that are too bright, it's easier to go back in and just allow a bit of that colour that's underneath just to mix with it, like that. It just settles them down just a little bit. I did want some brighter ones in there anyway. Like that. Nice. I'm happy with how that's going. I'm nearly about to call this one finished. Just a little highlight on top of that rock. I'll bring a bit in there too. There. Little indications here and there. See, I've done most of it with the knife. These lovely effects here with the knife, and then I've used the brush to create individual rocks. So just try and remember that for when you're painting this. Nice one. Right, I think I'm going to call that finished.